presents School is Now in Session.
Welcome to Homeschooled Podcast.
Homeschooled.
The Homeschooled Podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
It's time to document the journey.
Welcome back to Homeschooled Podcast. My name is Agostino Zoida. I host the Homeschooled Podcast. I really appreciate you tuning in. If it's your first time or if you're returning, listen, we appreciate it. You got a lot of options for podcasts, so it means a lot to us. We're going to have a little bit of fun today. Listen, guys, all kinds of crazy shit going on in the world. We can all use a little bit of silliness, a little bit of fun. We're going to play a little game today. Listen, we got the debates going on. The first debate was a disaster. It was hilarious. I don't know. I haven't seen something that funny on television in a long time, to be honest with you. But I also noticed a lot of comics. That's all they were talking about the next day. It's like, listen, guys, half you guys, you haven't written a new joke in fucking 10 years. You're over here giving advice on the country. So when it comes to stand-up comedy, let's stick to what we know. And this comes out tomorrow, which will be the second night of the debates. And you know what, man? Fuck the debates. Why don't you guys just get yourself a little laugh? I'm not going to take too much of your time. We're just going to have a little laugh. We're going to have our own debate here, okay? We're going to have a debate of the comics. We're going to find out who's the best comic between Richard Pryor and George Carlin. Well, we won't really find out who's the best. It's obviously comedy is subject to opinion, but that's really defeats the purpose of the whole fucking game, doesn't it? So we're just gonna have some fun. But before we begin, this episode is brought to you by Puffy Mattress. You guys, Puffy Mattress, right now I can get you $300 off your Puffy Mattress. It gets delivered right to your door. I know you've seen all those ads. There's hundreds of different mattress companies that, hey, they claim to be the best. We'll mail you a mattress right to your house. It's in a box. It blows up right in front of you. Listen, guys, the best is Puffy Mattress. I have one right now. I absolutely love it. My back pain went away. I used to wake up with back pain, and now I don't wake up with back pain. It's fantastic. There's 3 different types that you can choose from if you like them firm, if you like them soft, or somewhere in the middle, and you choose. So listen, guys, I'm going to hook you up with $300 off. Not only that, but it's risk-free, okay? You have 101 nights to sleep on the mattress, and if you don't like it, guaranteed your money back, all right? It's America's #1 voted mattress. And it's called Puffy Mattress. Click the link in the description, and you're going to get $300 off. And I'm going to throw in a King Puffy pillow. That's right. They also make pillows. I'm not going to lie to you guys. My wife went out of town for like a week. The pillow kind of filled in. You know what I'm saying? Like this thing, it's giant. It's just like I can't go back to regular pillows after this thing. You guys got to do it, okay? $300 off plus the King Puffy pillow. Click the link in the description. Also, just a quick reminder, my comedy album is out. It's called The Bad Guy. It's available worldwide. You can get it on iTunes. You can get it on Spotify, SoundCloud, Amazon. If you could do me a big favor and download it, I would really appreciate it. And make sure you give it a 5-star review, which helps me climb the charts. All right, everybody? If you can't find it online for some reason, maybe you don't know how to spell my name, it's all fucked up. I get it, okay? You just go to my website, homeschoolpod.com. Click on merch. Homeschoolpod.com. Click on merch, and you'll find all the links to download my album. I really appreciate it, guys. All right, let's have some fun, okay? So what we're going to do, guys, well, first of all, representing Richard Pryor is my good friend, a favorite here. I want to welcome back Doc Willis.
DOC, yeah, in the building.
And representing George Carlin is another favorite here. Welcome back, Eric Rocha.
Yeah, thank you. Good to be here, man.
Doggy.
Or I'm gonna get crucified because I'm white. Is it Rocha?
Rocha.
Okay, actually, Rocha is the white way then, isn't it?
Yeah,
I nailed it.
To my knowledge. Yeah, you did great.
All right, guys, listen.
It's not spelled with a K, though. It's with a
No,
it's
it's CH.
CH. I'm thinking of like almond Rochas. I'm Italian, guys. I grew up on those almond Rochas.
We're already debating.
It's almond Rochas.
Can we say one thing though?
Sure.
When you mentioned that the pillow was filling in, I looked over at Doc, and have you ever seen a comic where just so many jokes flood his head at once?
Oh my God! I'm just like, this dude is fucking his pillow. It's
That's the first thing I thought of. He said filling in for a wife. I was like, he is.
That's the image I want.
He up there.
That's the image I wanted you to have.
This goddamn.
Real quick, congratulations on the album, dude. I started listening to that today at work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, congratulations,
I appreciate that.
man.
Thank you. The best part is I don't do none of that material no more. So when you come see me, I have like a
Whole
completely
new
different
album.
hour.
Yeah.
That's
Hell yeah,
awesome,
dude.
man. Congrats.
Louis Jr. in the house. Carlin and Jr. in the house.
Thanks, man. We're just gonna have some fun, guys. I'm gonna kind of make it up as I go along. I should have had questions written out, which I kind of do in my head. But here's what we're gonna do. Each of you are gonna have a minute, okay, to have your opening statement while you think your comic is the best. Just 1 minute, just an opening statement, uninterrupted. All right. And then I'm going to have some follow-up questions after that. And each of you will have follow-up questions. And each question, you will have 1 minute to have your answer, okay? Whoever I feel won the round, I will give a point to. And I will say this. If the one of you interrupts the other one during their minute, you can actually have your whole point taken away and lose a round.
Okay.
Fuck.
So you got to let the other person talk. We can't have none of that Biden-Trump shit up in here, okay?
Look, it's your garage, man. We're not gonna.
Did you see today somebody released a recording of what they were telling him in his ear?
No.
There's like a audio of apparently somebody was saying to Biden, just remember 200,000 people died. 209,000 people died. Just keep saying that. I swear to God, bro. And they're like, don't let him cut you off. Don't let him cut you off. Just bring up the dead people again.
Oh, I got to look that up. That's okay.
Fucking moron.
Oh, man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
God,
All right, let's have
funny.
some fun. Let's start with Richard Pryor. So we'll start over here with Doc. And why does he go first? Because Black Lives Matter, bro. Okay, so
Hilarious.
we're gonna
guess I'm gonna have to get.
All right, so we're gonna start with Doc, and you have. I don't even have my timer because my phone is being used for video, but listen, we're all comics. We got our inner clocks.
Right.
We know our inner clocks. You're gonna have a minute opening statement. Why is Richard Pryor the best?
He's the best because he's the first comic to like really open up and be vulnerable about personal issues and talk about pain in no other way that any other comic has ever done, and be real funny with the shit.
Okay.
That's my take.
Do you have any response to what Doc just said?
I don't think he was the first.
Okay.
I think, and this might lose me the debate. I think no, because and in the same breath, it's very difficult to fucking do. Like I was staying up all night. I was reading about Pryor. I was reading about Carlin, and we already knew a shit ton about it because that's what we're all kind of doing here, especially with Pryor. And again, this might lose me the fucking debate, but I think Pryor made me laugh harder. But I'll tell you this, I think what George Carlin did for stand-up was right along the lines of Lenny Bruce. I think he took what Lenny Bruce laid down and he took it even further.
Okay. You said that you don't think that Pryor was the first to break those boundaries. Who would you say was?
I'd say Lenny Bruce because, okay. I mean, they butchered that poor motherfucker. I mean, just the shit that he went through in terms of getting arrested, they ruined that motherfucker in the courts. Just
Lenny Bruce you're talking about.
Yeah, Lenny Bruce.
Okay.
Listen,
bro, we're going to keep it to Richard Pryor.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought he was about to talk about Mom's Mabley next. I'm like,
well, no, and that's the other one too. Those then you've got Mom's Mabley. You've got that whole remember the Chitlin circuit that they talked about.
Right.
I mean, you had all kinds of comics that.
But from their comedy perspectives, in a way, the things that Richard addressed, and even though they didn't grow up with the same lifestyle as him, but to be able to go to the points that he went to and bring out what he brought out on stage, nobody really done that, and be really funny. Like he talked about Lenny Bruce, but Lenny Bruce wasn't that funny. Like I watched, it's like watching Carlin in his later years. Carlin was funny as hell in his first 6-7 stand-ups. Then after that, he got real preachy and long-winded with the punchlines.
Right.
Whereas Richard just was always, and the only reason Richard really kind of fell off was because the drugs and the MS started kicking in more and more.
Why do you guys think that certain guys like Lenny Bruce and I don't know how you guys feel about Bill Hicks, but like guys like Lenny Bruce and Bill Hicks, like why do you think that like a lot of people just kind of worship them? I mean, they were great, but like for me they weren't really that great.
Me
like,
too.
To me they weren't hilarious, and do you think that it's just subjective, like they just weren't funny to me, or do you think that like they were just more for their time talking about edgy things, or just kind of
well, like you say, is more subjective. And like, to be honest with you, Bill Hicks, I knew of Carlin and Pryor. I mean, be honest with you, I didn't really learn about Bill Hicks until I moved out here. I knew about like Richard Bells and those comics. So Bill Hicks was kind of more, I think he's like a comic of that day.
He's an old school like store guy, right?
Yeah, like he wasn't this guy like everybody. His name was being dropped out of his mouth, but you heard Carlin's name.
He's a kid. Isn't Bill Hicks like a kid when he started?
Yeah, he was. He was with Sam Kinison.
Right.
They were thick as thieves.
I heard of Sam before I heard of Bill. So
they used to trade that bit about the crucifix. Do you think when Jesus comes back that he'd ever want to see a crucifix again? They used to do that joke, together. But to my knowledge, it was Bill Hicks that wrote that joke. And Sam started using it, and it just, I think what it comes down to, honestly, is performer versus writer. Because Richard was vulnerable. And that's what I love about Richard. And again, this is, it might lose me the fucking debate.
in my direction.
It might lose me the debate.
He did all his homework on Richard. He studied for the wrong one.
It might lose me the debate, but, Richard was vulnerable, but Carlin was fucking dangerous. I'm not saying Richard wasn't dangerous because nobody knew what Richard was going to do. I think Paul Mooney might have had an idea that would be chaos, whatever he did, organized chaos. But you've got Carlin, who wrote all of his own shit. Right. And the other aspect of it, too, is Carlin, to me, loved to dance on that line.
Because we didn't get to your opening monologue yet. Okay. So should this be a part of it? Do you want to say that about Carlin?
I'll do one.
Okay, so this is your 1 minute.
Okay.
Of why Carlin. By the way, really quick, just to be clear, and I'll get crucified more than both of you. Okay, is that with Carlin and Pryor, I'm not the biggest fan of. I'm not saying that like I don't like them. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of their work that I think they're talented guys. I think they're record breaking, boundaries breaking guys. They've never been my favorite.
Yeah, but if you grew up in a certain era, the older comics won't be unless you just like have an old soul or something.
I mean, I do like older comics. It's just I've never related to them as much. And so let's say the goal of this is like I'm gonna be a fan of them, and you guys are gonna convince me which one if I could only choose one. Okay, so your opening monologue, 1 minute, to tell me why Carlin is the best.
All right, so here's why. Look at Carlin's work and where it went, and when you look at like Pacifica versus the FCC, his shit made it all the way to the Supreme Court. And when you look at what he did in terms of the history of stand-up, that guy moved it so far that it's laughable today. And it's funny because he lost the case. It wasn't even his case, it was Pacifica's case. They lost the case, but pop culturally he won. Because look at the internet now. The one thing that people always preach is don't censor, free speech, First Amendment.
Yeah.
So you have so much of that, and Carlin was a big part of that. He challenged not only making, Pryor made pain funny, and he was fucking hilarious, but Carlin challenged the establishment like I don't think anybody did, and I think honestly he had more fun challenging the establishment. Like he was always kind of winking at us, questioning, okay, why do you think they do this? What is
He's
this
like
language?
The dirty Mr. Rogers.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's man like he got it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. He's
so he
almost
loses
done
his point, right? I'm taking every fucking.
I think he had a couple seconds.
No, that for me is he had more fun challenging authority.
Okay. Do you have a response to that?
He's dead on about that. But also too, Carlin gave you fun, lighthearted stuff, like the worst stuff.
Right.
That bit hilarious, right?
Yeah.
And then he gave you.
If you guys don't know what he's talking about, just like look up George Carlin stuff. It's one of his most famous fun bits.
And he also, well, yeah, that's like one of the great. But he has this my favorite bit, which is a couple, but quite a few of Carlin's. But one of Carlin's bits that's my man is when he talked about why. He said, when your parents die, why do people say that they looking out for you when they in heaven?
That's right.
Dude, that's like the greatest fucking bit. And dude, and then he said,
it's a great thing to attack.
Oh my God. When he said, what if, he said, well, why do they gotta fucking watch over you after? He's like, didn't they have enough? Can't they just be up in the clouds smoking and do, you know what I'm saying? It's like, are you fucking, then he said, what if you was adopted? I'm like, are you fucking, and then he says, I
don't think you guys understand how this is supposed to be.
That bit too, when you get to sit back and just take a fucking harp lesson.
fucking bro.
Oh, yeah.
That bit is so, man. And then he say, and what if you killed your parents, bro? And he said, because I'm quite sure the Melendez brothers, man, I said, that's the most genius. That bit is so goddamn funny, bro.
And it's pretty brilliant.
Man.
Because you take something that people really don't want to talk about. Your parents dying or your parents who have died.
Yes.
And then again, you bring something up that everyone has also thought of.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, they're watching over me all the time. You know what I mean? Like, because we've all kind of thought that if you lost a loved one, that first time you go to rub one out, you're like, I hope you're not watching right now. Like, we've all kind of felt that. So, I mean, he was definitely political, but he definitely, like, turned it to, like, something where everybody can relate and make it and get away with a lot of things.
Right.
But then, but that's next level. The harp lessons, and then it's like, what if you killed your parents? It's like, how many levels can you take
when
this?
When he closed that bit with that Melendez, I said, are you fuck? That's the most brilliant shit.
Yeah.
That's this dude mind. But then Richard would hit you with some brilliant shit. Like one of my favorite bits, and it's one of the most heartfelt bits because I don't know if it's 100% true. I tried to find the information on it, but he talks about his father dying.
Okay.
You know, and the girl that his dad died fucking this girl.
It was an orgy.
Yeah, well, whatever the case was, and then the girl, he wound up running into the girl later, and she breaks down crying because she killed his daddy with her pussy, right?
Oh, damn.
So it's like,
wait, that was Pryor?
Yeah, Pryor.
Okay.
Do the bit. Yeah. You do the bit. You know the bit. I know you know the bit. Do the joke.
I'm mad that I can't do the bit, but I can't remember exactly what it is. But my favorite part is like he's consoling this girl about the death of his dad. And she's going, and he's bringing you into her emotions of her like crying. And he's like, no, it's a good thing. You know, my father died fucking you. He came and went at the same time.
That's what I wanted.
And then he hit it with a tag and said, that's called recycling. I said, are you fucking kidding me? I said, this dude is fucking, dude, that shit, bro, that's fucking genius. Him and Carlin, boy, I'm like, man,
that's so funny.
Dude, I said, are you fucking kidding me, bro?
I love brilliant
man
writing, dude. I love brilliant punchlines,
and
jokes.
it came from such pain though, because when he talks about that shit in his just in prior convictions, when he talks about that, it's always a fine line with Pryor, dude. Sometimes I want to cry, because of what that motherfucker did, what that motherfucker saw.
Yeah,
I mean, he went through it and he dished it out too. Because I mean, this is a guy that one of his stories is better than the craziest shit. His Sunday, or I should say, his Monday would be fucking crazier than any weekend I ever lived. Ever. No, and it's true, because I mean, his grandma Marie was a fucking she was the madam of a fucking brothel. You know, they had to move because of a stabbing. They grabbed all their shit and they had to move because that's what you did. To make that, even after, remember when he set himself on fire, I remember reading all the shit, and he talked specifically about people making a big deal that he had to take a bath.
Oh,
And he was like, so what the fuck does it matter? No, on the medical side, they really didn't want to tell him. They kept prepping him. They were like, okay, you're going to take a bath. Everybody positive.
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
what he didn't realize, though, was he had burned, so his nerves were literally wide open. There was nothing covering him. So when they were going to put him in that bath, literally you saw people crying at him crying because they were like, we've got to give him this bath. Because he's got all this bacteria. He is so prone to infection right now. And you, like, literally, when they talk about it, I tear up because it's like, why did you do this to yourself, man? Yeah. Why the fuck did you do this to yourself? And then he comes back with a joke. He goes, the doctors come and they said, we're going to save him? And he goes, well, shit, I was thinking of getting some coleslaw and serving this shit up.
Oh, my God.
And I mean, that was Richard's joke. That was Richard. And it's so and he said it so matter-of-factly. But so, like, the pain, you can really react to that pain because, especially with, like, what Doc was saying, I think he hit it too. I learned about Pryor because, my dad was out of the picture. My grandpa had those Red Fox and Richard Pryor cassette tapes, and that's what I listened to. So coming up, I knew all of Pryor's shit because it was like, oh fuck yeah, what it sounded like to play craps, and all of that good stuff. But then something happened with Carlin where he challenged religion. And that my grandpa didn't fuck with. He said, no, you don't fuck with God.
Yeah.
And Carlin did. So I think you hit it on those, Doc, when you said it depends on what you grew up around. Because for me, you did not fuck around with God.
Yeah. You know what? Before we move on for this, I'll say this, dude, is that I grew up in a Catholic household, and my family had the I'd say the same mentality towards anything like that. Can I tell you guys? Let me tell you. Let's have a little fun here. My father is an interesting person. My father, here's one interesting. My father used to buy movies on VHS, okay? And he would wait until the movie came out on television because they would be playing the clean version. And then my father would take his VHS that he owned and he would record over it the television version so that we could watch everything clean. So it would have no curse words. Like, I'm not kidding you guys. I have, like, Lethal Weapon, Scarface, everything I have.
What?
Dude. and then sometimes, and then he would try to be slick and hit stop during the commercials and then record again when it came back on so there were no commercials. But sometimes he'd sneak a commercial in there. Like he fell asleep or he forgot to hit it. And that's how, like, and then, dude, Back to the Future is my favorite film of all time. It wasn't until I was an adult that I realized that Doc is actually going, damn, outside that clock. That part was cut out of the movie.
Oh, man.
That is Back to the
whole
Future.
experience.
The beginning of, God, what movie was it? What movie opens with sex? I think it might
Risky
be...
Business? No,
Lethal Weapon or something like that.
Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon because the chick jumps off the building, the Capitol Records, or no, that's now like the Holiday Inn hotel. So she jumps off that hotel. In the beginning, she was all like doing drugs and her tits are out and shit like that. I didn't know that scene existed until I was an adult because my version was just like Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell.
That's the catalyst for the whole fucking movie.
Hilarious.
Amanda Hunsaker's death.
That's right. Okay, so we'll take it a step further. That's when I was little. So now fast forward to, let's say, 90s, and I'm not even a teen yet, maybe 13, 12, and the movie, I forget the name, but it's Chris Tucker and Sheen. Money Talks or something like that.
Oh, that was...
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen and Chris Tucker, and I think it's Money Talks or something like that, where we all loved Chris Tucker in my house. We just watched Rush Hour 1, and we're like, Chris Tucker, put that on! And we go put it on, but Chris Tucker, my dad counted, I think, like 11 GDs, which, if you grew up in a Catholic household, you're not allowed to say it, okay? You know what I'm talking about? GDs. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, of course, I don't want to say it.
I don't even want to say it either. Well, you take God's name in vain. You say damn.
goddamn?
You say damn with God in front of it. We're not allowed to say that, bro. We were raised to never say that.
You're supposed to say goddamn, D-O-G-O-T.
It's a little loophole.
Yeah,
Those
God
loopholes.
damn it! You know what I'm saying? You don't throw the D on there.
Chris
That's
Tucker
weird. You get hit by a bus after that. That's hey dog. You don't do that.
Chris Tucker dropped like 9 or 10 GDs in the opening of that movie. My dad said, "Turn it off." So there was no Pryor in my household growing up. And then the first time I was introduced to Carlin, I don't know how I felt about it. Mm-hmm. The first time I heard him attacking religion, and I didn't start listening to Carlin until I had already started stand-up maybe a year, so maybe 2009 really? I started listening to Carlin.
Okay.
And when I went back and listened to it, I went like, I kind of judged him, because I went like, I will never talk about religion. And then as time goes on, you really develop that you don't give a shit, you talk about whatever.
Right.
Whatever is in, like the shit I just told you about my father, that's like, I'll talk about that. It's deep shit, you know what I mean? And that's how these guys get brilliant. But when I first heard him, I was just like, I don't like talking about religion. I don't like talking about God and stuff like that. So, I hear you on that one. But we'll end that round with both of you were helping each other. So I guess we'll give a. I'm gonna give a point to each of you.
This is a hard debate because you got like two guys on like the greatest level. I mean, I think because they were the first to reinvent themselves through their career. They're the first one. That's what I mean by they're the first people to do what they did, right? So because of that, because they what you call take 2 steps back to gain.
Yeah.
And most people are afraid to do that because they go, man, you go backwards. You and they them two just said, nah, I don't care. Shoot, Carlin made his transition while he was on TV. And that's what's crazy about that. It's like, what?
They both admired each other so much too.
Yeah.
I mean because that's one thing that I remember reading about Pryor. He loved Carlin because Carlin had that, that Las Vegas stink on him when he was young. And then,
do you guys know who started first?
Or
about the same.
It was probably Carlin because Carlin was doing those small clubs when he was really, really young. Carlin was a radio guy. So that's why his was more like he wanted to be a radio DJ because he loved Danny Kaye and all that shit.
Texas,
exactly.
Right. And then he came here and he became a writer with what's his name for the
It was Carlin and oh god,
what's the dude?
Not Parr. Carlin and
I got his book at home.
I can't remember his fucking name.
Let's move on.
Anyway,
let's move on.
All right,
I'm gonna ask you a quick question, and you got a minute. So before, when I asked you why is Carlin the best, you hit me with this stuff that he took it to the courts. You know what I mean? So you're basically saying he's the best because he really kind of pushed those people's buttons and called their bullshit and went after society, really. How does that necessarily make him the best more than he just talked about shit like that?
Well, he didn't take it to the courts. It was the people. It was the Pacifica Broadcasting Company that took it to the courts. He was just fucking loving that people listened to his stuff and took it that seriously. Because, again, it was provocative. It was something that he wanted. Just as Doc said with the, when the fuck can you just sit back on a cloud and take a fucking harp lesson? That was his last special. Mm-hmm. So what makes me laugh is people thought that he got a little preachy towards the end of his life. Even when you look at those specials, he still was putting out prolific shit. So it wasn't necessarily that, he's just being shocking for shocking's sake. It was funny, too. It really was. When you listen, because everybody thinks of the 7 words you can't say on TV, and they live and die by that quote. Or, like I said, when we challenge religion. When he went after advertising, I feel like with Carlin, when you saw his shit in real life play out, it made you laugh even harder.
Sure.
Like, when you watch the debates, I remember laughing. It was a long time ago when, oh God, was it? I think it was Bush and whoever that was. But I remember watching those debates, and then I went to Baskin Robbins and laughing because Carlin said, you can pick Democrat, Republican. That's all you get. You get 2 picks on that. He goes, but you go to Baskin Robbins, you got 31 fucking flavors to choose from. That's the American dream, folks. The American dream, because you got to be asleep to see it. And I remember chuckling. Like, I still laugh at that shit. Or even his little dick joke. Like, he opened up a special one time with what you remember. Why is it the chicks that argue against abortion are chicks you wouldn't want to fuck in the first place?
Louis actually did that in a tribute. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember that.
So the funny thing about that though is his little taglines, they're not as remembered because his points were so shocking to people. But when you look at the jokes that he does, I mean, he brings Joe Pesci into the argument against there is no God and who to pray for. It's like, where the fuck does Joe Pesci come from? And he was funny like that. He loved jokes too. Like, that's the thing of it, is he would devote.
By the way, speaking of Joe Pesci, my version of Lethal Weapon is they freak you at the drive-thru. Just so you know.
Oh my God! That's fucking.
I've never talked about that on stage.
They freak you.
I really should, right? All right, I think the minute's up. But I got where you're coming from. So you're saying, Doc, that Richard was like the first to hit a lot of subjects or to cross some of these lines that nobody really wanted to cross. And that was your answer. Right. But he said he actually wasn't the first. So what do you say to that? You have 1 minute.
Well, I'll say this, right?
So glad I'm not in your seats.
I would say, as far as Carlin's concerned, I haven't seen every single special. Mm-hmm. But for the majority of the specials that I did see, it's more observational point of view about everything else. Whereas Richard, like he said when he mentioned earlier about what he said about serving them up as coleslaw, it's like, Jesus Christ, bro! That shit right there. That's what I'm talking about. That's a fucking point that you like, man. You just like, this is some tragic shit that happened. Yeah. Like you can't take
anything and make it a joke.
To take that fucking thing and just fucking be funny like that, man. It's just the subject matter. He brought this, like he said, this pain that was just like if you watched it the first time, you might not have laughed at it. Like, damn, man, why would you? And then you watch it again and you know his style. You're like, oh, that's funny. It's actually fucking funny. But that was, whew.
Well, I think that he got so good at that. You ever see like a child actor, like they were an actor since they were children, like Leo DiCaprio, for example. Now they're like amazingly extraordinary talented. It's like, well, when you've been in it that long, right, you learn how to be the best. And I think with Pryor, what he learned to be the best at was making pain funny. So any traumatizing, or like you were saying, like that's so deep, that's so dark.
Just
bro.
the lighter bit. Remember he did that when he say, "What is this?"
Yeah.
He say, "Richard Pryor on fire." I was like, "Get the fuck!" It's just like, bro, you fuck enough. But that's how he just digs and he keeps going.
He got so good at turning pain into funny.
How does he top everybody's joke about him? He topped it. Like,
that's how you overcome bullies.
Mm-hmm. He used their joke that they said about him in his bit in front of the world about him being on fire. It's just like, are you fucking? Because first of all, nobody really. There's not a comic that set themselves on fire. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, when he brought that shit out, I go, man, are you like? It's like you laugh and you drop a tear at the same time. Like, God damn, Richard, you something else, boy. That was whew. He was on fire, huh?
I think that,
remember the joke? Hey, where you going? Got a light?
Oh yeah. And then that's what I'm saying. He even tags this shit. He tags the person. It's like, are you fucking get the fuck? Man,
it's just not being afraid to talk about certain things, which I think. Well, obviously, Carlin wasn't afraid to talk about certain things, meaning like afraid of the higher powers that he went after.
Oh yeah,
but Richard was not afraid to talk about things that would make people feel uncomfortable. you know, or
I think Carlin did too, but I just feel like Richard just went to a depth that nobody really would like to talk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he, even in the book that he wrote, he talk about being with 2 weeks with a transvestite and then quitting. You know what I'm saying? He said like I was gay for 2 weeks and I quit. What, you know, like that to be go
Most
into
men
yourself,
won't wanna
look
talk
into
about that.
yeah, look in yourself and just give people the truth of who you really are. Man, that's what Richard. It's just like you don't. Every weakness he's had, you know now. It's
I always
like,
say that
well, whatever he had, not
the funniest comedians, dude, are the ones who are the most vulnerable.
man,
Far, absolutely. As soon as you start being more vulnerable on stage, people respect you for it, and you really open up some really original stuff.
I don't know, because I know you're getting ready to mark a point for him. I got to challenge that. My mom didn't raise a fucking dough. Here's the thing, I don't necessarily agree with that because
With what exactly?
With
As I go
cross it out.
but just to be fair, I
with
was going to give him the point for the questions that I asked. For the questions that I asked, he was going to get a point.
So, with the vulnerability thing, good, I'll kick this fucking table. The thing about the vulnerability, though, I know nothing about David Tell's personal life.
Okay.
And that motherfucker is, to me, he's on my Mount Rushmore of comics. And you know absolutely nothing about David Tell.
That's what you said. Your Mount Rushmore.
For David Tell.
Well, you know, yeah, everybody got their own opinion.
You're not a big
Hey,
fan?
do not crucify him, audience.
not a
I know
big-
how y'all feeling right now. Y'all very upset.
You're
A lot
not
of
a
y'all
big
are
fan?
throwing tables and probably out there rioting over.
I mean,
Not a David Tell guy?
You knew that? Yeah, I think Dave is funny, but I'm not a Mount Rushmore, bro. It's like
Yeah, to me,
10 comics before that guy.
I don't know. To me, it's the joke structure.
Okay.
Because he has the best joke structure because it is joke.
But he's also raw as fuck.
yeah.
Like,
I'm
like
not going to
nasty,
say you're
like-
wrong. I'm not going to say that Attell is not great
Yeah,
and that
good
he's
fucking
not
nasty.
vulnerable because you don't know anything about his personal life. So, no, I'm not going to say that you're wrong. But I personally think that there's a lot funnier comics than him who are vulnerable. So I stand by my statement that the more vulnerable you are, the funnier you'll be. Not that he isn't funny. It's just he didn't. Some comics, dude. Like look at Gaffigan. The guy had a brilliant joke writer, a marvelous career. We don't really know. I mean, we know about his. He's got a lot of kids. We know he's got a lot of kids and his wife. But and I'd say that the most. I would say this, that as comics really go on further, they get more and more into stories, which even if they never did them, and I think that they'll go more and more into things that they never did before. To be honest with you, maybe the latest Attell stuff, I think that you're going to see him get into some more personal things pretty soon, or talk about. It may not be personal in his life, but it may be an opinion he has, which is not. People won't agree with it a lot. You know what I mean?
But I think that's what Richard and Carlin did when they made their transition. They did it at the like early stage in their life. They just said, you know what, now's the time. And I think that's what separates those two guys from everybody else. Anybody else after them that's great pretty much is or was influenced by one or the other.
Yeah.
Unless you grew up in Chappelle and rocking them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
that's a good point too, though. I mean, especially I'm curious now how many people will have this discussion in the years that come about
just
fucking
go on the internet.
Carlin and Pryor.
I mean, and search windows. Do you know the search window on Instagram?
Yeah.
Well, mine's is filled with women, MMA, basketball, and comedy. Right? Because I guess they do an algorithm. And they like, oh, he likes fat asses and jokes,
And
right?
2 weeks of training.
Not 2 weeks of training.
Cleared his history.
But like, there's all these videos that people post about with Chappelle, with his Netflix bits and different things. And when you go in the comments, all you see, the GOAT. This guy, the GOAT. And you're just like, really? You guys growing up? And and then I click on their profile. I said, this guy's like 22. So you don't know Carlin and fucking Pryor. You know what I mean? But that's because eras are different, and who you see is who you think gonna be the GOAT because you grew up with that. And you're not, unless you're like I said, got an old soul or a person that really can connect, because the subject matter then of those guys and what they talk about, Pryor and Carlin, would have these people in an uproar right now today. You know, even though a lot of it is still universal, both of their bits, a lot of their bits, but it's something that they said and did in their bits that people will be like, holy shit.
Yeah, and you know what? That's what we need. That's what we need today. And to tell you guys the truth, I truly believe, you call me a conspiracy theorist if you wanna, I think stand-up comedy is the last thing to come back because they know that they'll say that shit. They know comics are not afraid to say what the fuck's going on right now and state their mind on it. And a lot of it's true. Politicians can't say whatever the fuck they want.
No.
You know, you watch the debates, like, you know, Trump couldn't say he doesn't support white supremacy, even though he probably doesn't. He just couldn't say it. He didn't want to lose that vote. And Biden couldn't say, I support law and order, because who knows if he does or if he doesn't, but he just couldn't say the words because he'll lose that vote. You know what I'm saying? So, like, politicians, regardless of what they believe, they got to say something because their campaign manager told them, lean in this direction. Where comedians, they don't give a fuck what you think of them. They're used to being vulnerable on stage. They're used to attacking touchy subjects and being truthful how they really feel about it. And I think that...
but not today, though. A lot of the comics ain't like that.
I think that Rogan... is pretty.
Well, Rogan, he's part of the
the podcast, right? But I think
but he's part of the older generation.
Oh, you think he's old?
Yeah,
okay,
he's part of Chappelle and them. Yeah,
I see how you doing, Rogan. I see.
Yeah, I mean, Rogan 50 something. Like he's not.
Well,
like
not age, but just relevance.
Yeah,
no, I mean relevance, but I mean like.
He knows those old comics too. Like when he talks about Mom's Mabley, or he talks about those old. He talked about getting Red Fox cassette tapes from fucking truck stops, and that's fucking old school.
Well, I think like right now, Burr and Rogan, I would want to hear them go up on stage at the comedy. If the Comedy Store is open right now, it's Tuesday night tonight, right?
Yeah.
Tuesday night, you guys, at the Comedy Store. Remember Tuesday nights at the Comedy Store?
Yeah,
dude, Tuesday nights at the Comedy Store, everybody who's anybody will go down there and work out material. Yeah. And even if you weren't on stage, you just went and hang.
Oh, yeah.
You just went and hang. Tuesday nights now for me is...
never know who was going to pop in and walk out.
Jesus
yeah, dude. Right now, right now, for me, it's Taco Tuesday and sit in front of the TV and watch another episode of Chopped with my wife. But Tuesday...
You're right, though. It is. That's all we've got
That's
now.
all we
Taco
got.
Tuesday. You're exactly right
but
about that
Tuesday used to be comedy... Sunset Boulevard. That's what Tuesday was Sunset Boulevard, and I gotta go feed my meter. Fuck it, I'll get a ticket. Sure. I don't want to miss this. Bird just walked in. So guys, right now during this pandemic, during the Civil War, if you know whatever you want to call all the shit that's going on in the world, I
believe the first day that Seinfeld came back and stepped on stage, that was a Tuesday.
Oh right, dude, fucking.
Jesus Christ.
Sebastian's down there working on a Tuesday. Right now, more than anything, during all of this, I would love the store to be opened and packed. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. I don't give a fuck. I want to see it packed, and I want to see Burr and Rogan just talk it out of the bits that they want to talk about with this thing. And I would love to see that.
Those guys, they got to the point in their comedy. I think Rogan started reaching it later, but Burr already had it from the beginning. You know
Burr was always willing to talk about stuff that might offend me. Oh,
Patrice school though. No, when you're getting fucking you're going up against guys like Patrice, and
we're gonna have to have another episode of Patrice versus Patrice.
And too, like Keith Robinson, I don't think gets his fair shake in that mix-up of people that he inspired too.
I think. But it goes. I think it just goes like you either got it or you don't. You know, because it's not like he's not surrounded by what he needs. It's just that if whatever it is and that you have is gonna fit where you are. I think you're right where you're supposed to be. And if he was supposed to be any higher, he will be or he would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's how I look at it.
Interesting, guys. Interesting stuff. I got a question of Doc now. Okay, you'll have a minute.
All right.
This is getting deep, bro. This is gonna be a deep one.
All right.
And I don't mean to sound like a douche, but I'm gonna ask the question: is there anything that has to do with Pryor being your favorite, or you're in this particular debate, you're saying he's better than Carlin. So anything have to do with it that you just looked up to him as an African American?
I would say, yeah, culturally that would be correct, and only because my grandfather and them wasn't playing Carlin. You know what I mean? Like, I was a kid that just loved
was your
Carlin.
grandfather playing? Sorry to interrupt.
They had Richard Pryor. Everybody in my family, no matter
Really?
who house you go over, they had
Really?
Richard Pryor or Red Fox album. Yeah,
Nice.
everybody had that shit. So it was everywhere, listening to everybody. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like you're gonna be more lenient towards your culture if that person is really that great.
Absolutely.
So when you look at when I became a comedian, and then, but before I watched George stuff, right? Like, I remember back in the 80s when I saw the bit that he did on Stuff on HBO and all of that. So like, I was just a fan of comedy as a kid. So, but when I watched the two, like you could see through Carlin's bits, that he thinks he's like mechanical. Not when he delivers. He's very smooth, but you can see like this thinking process. Whereas Richard is like, what the fuck? Just it's like it's just like wow, it's like coming at you at fast, and you don't know what he's going to say in this particular story or what's going to happen. With Carlin, you don't know either, but you could see the method of the build up of how he, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he's well technical. Whereas he's like a riot pump. Boom, 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 boom. Whereas Pryor's more like a machine gun. It's just you like, damn.
Okay.
Like, I've laughed really hard at Carlin, but shit, this some parts in Richard shit had me like fucking, like, this guy's fucking fun. The face, the movement, the falling, just his voice. Just a very funny man.
Yeah.
And that's to add that performance level to that level of writing and putting it together. And you know what? Paul Mooney said that he didn't write his material. That's what Paul said.
Paul didn't write Pryor's material?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So a lot of people said that he did. I don't know.
Well, okay. So let's just because I mean, listen, you guys both know me really well. You know, I love both of you guys. You know who I am. You know what I mean? That's why I feel like I can ask this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Some people I didn't know, they might think I was being racist or something like that. But I do know. The reason I asked you that question for you to have a minute to argue it is because sometimes for example, Chappelle released that thing, which was like 8 minutes or whatever seconds that he released on Instagram. Which I guess they called it a stand-up special. Some people refer to it as that. And right before that, he had an actual Netflix special. The latest one. Sticks and Stones. I personally thought that those last two pieces that he released were not very good. No. I was really disappointed with them both. And when I watched, I saw all these comics that I know who happened to be black, who were saying when they watched it, they went, he's the greatest of all time. And I'm not going to lie to you that I'm probably wrong for thinking it, but in my head I kind of went, I wonder if they have to say that because he's black.
I just think they kind of just, there's a over sensationalized aspect of Dave to where nobody wants to really, like, it seemed like a lot of black comics don't really want to critique him on. So when I watch Chappelle, he gets a little preachy. Yeah. For me.
Yeah.
Because I've seen his stuff before. And you could see where the laughs, and it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're an activist, but I want to laugh first.
Gotcha.
Like the activist, okay. If I want to watch the activist, I go watch the NAACP talk. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, it's cool to point out points of view.
Yeah.
But be funny with that. And that's what I was talking about when I called Carlin preachy. It's not that it's just that he wasn't giving the minutes per laugh that he can. Yeah, no, because he wants to get across a point more so than the joke. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like at a certain point you're like, bro,
that's a solid argument.
It seems like comics get to a point where they just want. It's almost as if they get mad at people who think they funny. Like they can't think of nothing else. Like, I'm a good thinker, and you know what? I'm going to march for the cause, and it's like, yeah. But where's the funny? You know see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how I kind of.
But I guess what I'm asking, just to do a straight up ask, is because you mentioned of how many boundaries he broke, right?
Right.
Do you think it would be as impressive if he was a white person talking about those things?
But that's what I'm saying. If it was vice versa, and it was Carlin being that way, Carlin would be the greatest.
Okay.
You understand? Like I haven't heard, not yet, any material. I've heard brilliant shit from Carlin, but I haven't heard no shit where I'm just like, man, like, god damn, bro.
Right.
Like, that burning and talking about being burnt and
color's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
which is basically what I wanted to hear from you.
It's like man, dog, the way he was talking about when that whole experience he's talking on stage, it's like, fuck, man.
You got a response?
I do.
Okay. We got to wrap up soon, so keep it short, you guys. I'm not really. This is the longest minutes.
This feels like the debate only how it should have went. It's in terms of perspective. I think Do the Right Thing and Richard Pryor's albums is the closest thing that people that aren't black can even conceptualize what it is to be black in America. Especially Do the Right Thing, because that movie is still... I love that fucking movie. Spike Lee that was something spectacular. And when you hear Richard Pryor, when he talks about those crap games, and what do you mean I'm not throwing it? I'll throw it across the street.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
And it's like, they really talk to each other like that? And to remember that, who is it? Hey, little boy, is your mommy home? I'd like a blowjob. You know what I mean? Where you're like, wait, people used to fucking ask, like, white people didn't give a shit if they were paying to get off, and that's what Richard had to contend with, was a white guy knocking on his fucking door. Hey, is your mommy home? Because I want a blowjob. So I mean, he gives you that perspective. I think that I just wanted to say that's why he was a genius in my eyes. But in the same breath of that too. Like I said, I'm a joke man. Like David Tell's on my Rushmore, but another one too would be Robin Harris, because I don't think there's a comic around that I can. Maybe Robert Schimmel that I love too, because he's a joke guy. But Robin Harris was another guy that could structure jokes so fucking well. Yeah. And I mean, he could he was on fire with that. That's the one, if I could go back and see, is I would love to be in a small club with Robin Harris and just watch that motherfucker work. Because he steals House Party and he's only in it fucking, snippets of time? Yeah. But you just remember him walking to try to find his son? Yeah. He's like, you got me in the wrong goddamn, I should have put my finger on the wrong, or I should put my ring on the wrong finger because I married the wrong goddamn boy.
Did you say got?
No, he didn't say got. That was
but you were talking about just in terms of Chappelle, because here's the thing, I don't know, and I hate the who's better, who's whatever.
Right, yeah.
But the thing
it's
of it
so
that
subjective.
Yeah, the thing that got me about Chappelle, was he went after Jesse Smollett.
Oh yeah,
Juicy.
So fucking.
And
that was really
that
funny.
shit though. Do you know
that shit was so?
Do you know the kinds of it takes balls to do that?
Yeah,
it does.
I've seen ballsier things though.
Yeah, but I mean, when we're talking culturally, because the other one too is when you watch "Don't Be a Menace" in South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Right.
Every single time you see Keenen Ivory Wayans, he's a mailman. And what it is he's making fun of all those movies because they did a few too many of them. And Keenen Ivory Wayans would look at the camera and go, "Message!" And it was making fun of how preachy some of those movies could get.
Yeah. Oh, fine.
I don't give a fuck who you are. If you did that today, you would catch all kinds of shit.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that it's subjective in a sense of saying, okay, well, what exactly are these guys not spitting in the face of, but what exactly are they challenging? Because I love that too. Dave Chappelle challenges a lot of shit. Is he the greatest of all time? Like, you know, it's so subjective, and we're obviously going to say because, you know, again, I can't believe I'm sitting on the other side of you and Doc, comics that I've seen work and been like, I fucking love these guys. Like if you told me that I'm gonna work a club someday with Doc and Agostino, then I would be a happy man because we're gonna sit around talking about old Carlin albums, old fucking Pryor shit like that. So, you know, it's all so subjective. But I will say this regarding the Carlin thing is, it really does depend on what you're spitting in the face of. Because, like I said, the God shit, you did not fuck with God. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't just white people. That was black people. That was, you name it.
God-fearing people.
You did not fuck with a man's God.
Yeah.
Remember that Red Fox line in Harlem Nights? You know that's a mean pussy to make a man change gods.
Yeah, so is your argument that Carlin did it and got away with it?
Mm-hmm.
And he did it brilliantly? I'd say it's a good argument to make, too.
Yeah, especially in that day and time, because there was like...
God, they're both so fucking good.
Yeah, you know, have the Baptists, you had all of these different, and then this guy just goes, there ain't no... You're like, what?
Right.
This guy was like...
All right, I'm going to give Doc a point, because he convinced me it had nothing to do with race, which is what I wanted to make sure. And I'm going to give you also a point, because I agree with what you're saying as well, too. As far as, like, selling me on Carlin, that is one of the toughest things to sell. I actually... After years of doing stand-up, I actually do now have a couple of bits on religion.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest problems.
That was tough for me.
It's just I'm still have a hard time with what people think.
Yeah.
And it makes me, especially in today's day, like I'm hesitant to go back and start doing it. I'm like, man.
Yeah.
Because when you don't have a name for yourself, you got to really not give a fuck in order to become what you want to become.
Yeah,
and that's the part.
I don't think it ever ends, because when you do have a name for yourself, you're gonna drag your name through the mud if you say
right
something.
About that.
So like it never ends. You have to just teach yourself to not care.
Yeah,
you know.
I think that's what's funny about you guys, though, is your struggle with that, because that is personalized. I've seen you do material where you've said. Where you said, I don't know if I can do and to see, like, we're not watching you, or when you talk about, like, shit about marriage.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, but you know what I really think? Like, I love seeing that shit. Well, so I think your weaknesses are strengths in my fucking, especially in your act.
There's such a thing as good comics, and there's guys that they just, they can talk about something and it won't come out right. They can talk about something and it won't come out not classy. I can't think of the word. It just
they'll find it. You can chip
you know what
away
I mean? And then there's other dudes that they can just get away with saying certain things. That's what makes you a good comic. Some guys they come across as distasteful when they bring up things that people don't want to talk about. Right. But there's guys that get away with it because you first of all your cadence, the way you carry yourself, the way you say things, the way you sneak it after something that was very pandering. You get away with stuff. Damn. Like I get away with all the shit that I say about women when I do my marriage bits because I never say you women. I say my wife, which is a tricking way of, listen, you're going to laugh because your wife does it too, and women are going to laugh because they know they do that shit, but I've never once put the pressure on them that you do this. I've been through that before. I learned the hard way. When you say you women do this, some woman is going to stand up and go, no, we don't. Because you cannot generalize everybody. You got to just, my wife does it. And if they relate, they'll laugh. And I truly believe that laughter is all about relating. That's why this debate is silly. And it was just fun to talk comics with you guys. And that's what I wanted to do. But I'm not an idiot. I know it's up to subject. I know that Doc was right when he was saying it's like it depends what era you grew up. It depends what lifestyle you grew up. Like my family we didn't have Pryor and Carlin in my house. Yeah. And it depends the type of family. You guys want to laugh at something who's probably my Mount Rushmore? I couldn't even tell you the other ones. I know this is the only one that's made it so far for me. It's fucking Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's Cosby. To me, Cosby is like one of the kings of comedy. And it was what he talked about with having a lot of kids and stuff because I have a lot of siblings. And he ended up being a really dirty dude, but he represented a family, and that's what I grew up.
I like his first one of the albums I was listening to. track about the beaches of Normandy. That's the first, like, you see, like, oh my God, how is this guy bringing war into a joke? And that fucking bit is fucking phenomenal. You heard that bit?
I believe so.
That bit is like, are you kidding me, bro?
Dude.
Where he talk about how, like, in the movies you see when one of the guys gets shot in the war, and then when other guy goes crazy and flip out and he runs out on the battlefield, and he said, man, we had a guy just like that.
Yeah. You guys, I watched the other night. I watched The Comedian, the documentary that Jerry Seinfeld made.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in so long, but it was on Netflix, and I threw it on. And guys, it brought me to tears because I'm missing stand-up comedy so bad right now, and they did such a good job of capturing what it felt like to be a comic hanging with other comics. It felt like this, the three of us talking. You know, you talked about comedy, and then you go up and do your set, and afterward you all talked about your set, and you ate late at night together, and it just really kind of brought a tear to my eye. But anyway, in the documentary, towards the end, they were talking about how one of the other comics was telling Jerry, who in the documentary was trying to make his comeback, that you got to go see Bill Cosby. And they were like,
Chris Rock.
It was Chris Rock.
Yep.
The guy's like 70-something years old. He goes out there, no
hours,
opener, 2 hours, murders, and he's like 70-something years old. And Jerry couldn't believe it. Chris Rock couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? And then at the end of the documentary, they actually show that Jerry went and saw him at his theater, and they talked backstage, and it was something really, really cool. Where I just think he's the king of comedy, not the one of. You know, that's how much, like. And I'll tell you something else, guys. That documentary was filmed, what, 96, 97, that documentary? And
I think
No. It was
Maybe it's not that old.
It's like 2000 something. Because I was here. I saw that on Sunset.
oh, okay. So maybe I'm off. Maybe it's a little newer than I thought it was. But
early
anyway,
2000s, if anything.
Yeah, 2000. I'll tell you.
I started stand-up in 2009. And I think maybe 2010, 2011, I went to go see Bill Cosby live.
Oh, wow.
And it was at an outdoor theater in San Diego, and I had since that documentary I've always heard that about him, and I wanted to see him live. By that time he was 80, and it was exactly as they described. No openers.
2002.
It's 2002. Okay, so maybe 2012 or 11 I'm going to see Bill Cosby live.
No, I mean, Comedian came out. Sorry.
No, I know, but I'm
okay.
saying fast forward, and I want to go see Bill Cosby in person myself. You guys, no announcer that says, ladies and gentlemen, take your seats. Nothing like that. No opener. Walks out on stage, Bill Cosby. Sits in a chair. Not a fancy chair, not a stool. Just a chair. Like this, folding chair. He sat down for 2 hours, annihilated, murdered, like I've never seen any comic do in person before at a theater that size. And I think maybe he stood up a couple times to talk to somebody, and then he went and sat back down and continued his bits. And then, thank you guys so much for coming out after 2 hours.
Jesus.
And then walked off stage, nothing.
Did you ever see Pryor?
I never got to see him. Like, I missed him the 2 times he came up to the store.
I was curious
It was like,
about
you missed. Yeah, I tried. I was so mad. I was like, God damn it. He was like, man, you just fucking missed. And then he died in 05, like, right after I started working there. So
Wow.
it was like, oh, man. I was mad. Because he, at all the years I've been in California since 2000, the only 2 times that I know of that he came through there. And I missed both times, and I like literally like the next day went up there. He was you fucking. I was like, shit.
It always happens. The one night I decided to stay home, I would always look up. The next day I saw at the store fucking Seinfeld or somebody walked in.
Yeah.
You know,
I saw Carlin once.
Amazing.
Oh
He was
yeah.
in Denver.
You went out to see him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool, man.
I saw Robin. Well, I saw mostly everybody except Carlin and except Richard.
This has been fun, you guys. I may do more. You know, the debates are usually 3, right? So who knows? I might do 2 more because I think that we got to talk about Chris Rock, who I don't think people talk about enough as being another brilliant comic. I think,
He fucking
you know, we got to talk about. We got to do the Burr and CK comparison. We got to do a lot of stuff. I think that it was a lot of fun, and I just like talking to you guys about comedy more than anything. If you want to know who won. Really, this is all up to subject. You know, it's all your opinion. I mean, I have him down at 3 and I have you down at 2. But I think I actually asked him more questions, and you got a point on his rebuttal, and I didn't take no points away because you guys didn't interrupt to say something opposing. You interrupt to go, yeah, he's right.
I think we kind of argued each other's points.
Oh yeah.
But you judge at home who you think you want. Listen, man. As far as Carlin, like, I agree that he is a little preachy, and there is less laughs per, time, and there is less funny as time went on. He was not. To me, Chappelle is the new Carlin. Like, he used to be really, really, really funny. He used to talk about like just straight stand-up comic, and then went into more. Like, he's making that turn now, I think, to more like preachy stuff. Which, by the way, I love Chappelle's one that he did in the Belly Room, which I think is like a freaking masterpiece. That's on Netflix. That
the
one.
Bird
I really
Cage?
like.
That Bird Revelation.
Bird.
Oh man,
That
was
That's Michael Keaton. Yeah. No, that's Bird
That
Man.
was-
Goddamn, Bird Cage is actually.
You're thinking Bird Cage of Nathan Lane and Robin Williams.
No, yeah.
You got
That
a comedy
was,
store guy
Man,
in
I'm
there.
all in
that
my
was a
head.
ballsy one.
Fuck it.
After I saw that one, I thought, well, we might watch Chappelle die. Like, he's gonna get suicided or something. Like he that one was that was crazy.
Man.
So I understand the respect that we all have for all these comics, especially these two. And for me, on a funny thing, I would I feel that way a little bit, that he got more preachy and less. But the things that he was preachy about, I feel so passionately about.
Right.
That he also sells you too. Like that line that you said, like, American Dream, because you got to be asleep to see it, is so relevant now more than ever that it just makes you a Carlin fan too. So listen, guys, it's all up to subject. You know what I mean? Some people are like, this idiot likes Cosby, but you know what I mean? It's just that's the beauty of live performing arts. We all laugh because we relate, and how it all has to do with how you were raised. And I just am thankful that I get to talk about comedy with my buddies, man. It's kind of a rarity. So thank you guys both for coming out, and I hope that you guys tuned into this instead of that stupid debate. Listen, just get the highlights. You got to sit there and watch the debate. Come on, you know what I mean? Life's too short. I know.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Life's too short, you guys.
Yeah.
Let's get the hell out of here because my wife's making me dinner and I'm getting hungry. And you guys are fantastic. People can find you.
EricRochaComedy.com.
EricRochaComedy.com, and in social media links are on
all
there.
that good stuff's
Okay,
on there.
and then
Everything is at Doc Willis Comedy Instagram, and it'll tell you everything.
at Doc Willis Comedy. Guys, I'm at Agostino Zoida across the board, and you can go to homeschoolpod.com to find me and download my album, The Bad Guy. And don't forget to click the link in the description for a puffy mattress, and get yourself $300 off, and you'll be fucking that king pillow before you know it.
I knew it. I told you.
I give Doc $5. You were right.
I want to thank Eric for coming by and doing an excellent job. And telling, dude, you're
I
knowledgeable.
didn't do it. I fucking lost. Everybody
No,
that's
but-
Carlin's gonna be like, "You
Nah,
fat tub of
yeah.
shit."
Yeah, but you could have represented both. You're very knowledgeable about stand-up comedy and the history of it. And then I want to thank Doc for coming by, and I think that you did justice as well to representing both. I mean, I think that it was nothing but love here, which is what I love. You know what I'm saying, you guys? And what's better than just somebody expressing themselves, live performing artists? And we relate to it and we laugh, and it's a beautiful thing. And they're trying to take it away from us. And I'm going to end on this, you guys. No lie. Okay, between the two of you, we're fucking recording. But I'm dead serious. For about a week now, I've written a letter every single day to the person in Los Angeles County who makes the guidelines for opening, for like every single day. And finally today, I got a call. I wasn't able to answer it. I didn't recognize the number, but they left me a voicemail, and they said, all right, we're calling you because you harassed us enough.
Really? Good job.
And they're like, well, call us back. They're probably just going to be like, we're going to listen to your concerns and then do nothing. But it's a start, man. If you want something to be
What are you
done.
trying to do? What is your?
I wrote a long letter. I'm trying to get them to allow outdoor comedy, which they don't really want to do. They will allow outdoor restaurants. They will allow, a lot of almost everything outdoors, including.
I don't understand why wouldn't they allow outdoor comedy. It don't make sense.
It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
That's what the issue is.
So that's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to say open the country. I'm not trying to say lit comedy clubs open.
I think they probably, when it comes to restaurants, they're probably thinking of outdoors because the tables can be separate, but you can still do the same thing.
And they are doing it because the comedy store is currently allowed to be open, and they have all their tables in the parking lot spread out. So why can't you have one stage in front of them?
You can be
or
open,
one dude in front of them.
You just can't say anything funny. Fucking morons.
Yeah, and then or same thing that goes for restaurants if they want to hire a guitar or singer or something like that. You know what I mean? And you have those like plexiglasses that you've seen them at like Rite Aid. They hang down. You can even put those in front of the stage. Not that I want to do that, but guys, I'm willing to.
Yeah.
I'm willing to perform behind a plexiglass. Just give me some logic. It's not that I don't care about safety as others. That's not it. Just give us logic.
Right.
You know?
You sound like Carlin. give me a point.
It's a tie. It's a fucking tie. All right, guys, we're getting out of here. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Have a great week.
All right.
Homeschooled Podcast. Homeschool.
The Homeschooled Podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to do that at all.